Hey there, Hollywood Hills fans, and welcome to this week's show. So as you can see, the racing month of July went turbo on us once again. Pretty much back-to-back, wall-to-wall with the GXCCs and the Farm Jams, and things are going to get even tighter as we move forward into next month. But as you saw from last week, we came straight back from the brand new venue of Leandra for the GXCCs, and this is the big edit. The day was made short by a late fire, but we managed to get 65% of the race under our belts, so the results held, and this is what went down at the brand new venue. This was round 5 of the GXCCs. All this GXCC racing action is brought to you by VW MasterCars Hatfield. It's the kickoff of winter and the official second half of the GXCC Championship Tour in 2024, a brand new venue of Leandra, just outside of Secunda. Locked and loaded and good to go. All right, guys, welcome to round number 5 of the GXCC Championship. It's the winter round, and Vian, you found us a brand new one. Well done, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks to the guys from VW Hatfield MasterCars Pretoria. Henk and them have got contacts with the farmers here, and they introduced us and they said we can come and use this beautiful terrain.
Morning session as always for our juniors and our quaddies, and before the race we went down and chatted to a few nervous faces heading out to round number 5.
I think I'm actually feeling confident. My most competition is Liam skippers in my class. I think I'll do good today, but I'm a little bit scared what happened the last race, but I think I'll be safe and rock it. On the championship with now throw I'm laying on 3rd, but if we use my throwaway of the last race, I think I'll come number 2.
The year's been good so far. I had 1 or 2 bad races, like throwaways and stuff, but yeah, the year's going good and hopefully it keeps on like that. Yeah, the competition is big today. I mean, Derek in the 85 senior class, he's gonna be a tight competition today. Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't raced here or ridden here before, but yeah, I know the terrain very well, so yeah. The afternoon session, I'm jumping on my new 125 and stuff around the OR4. Hopefully, flawless race there.
Yeah, no, championship is going well. Lying, I think, second with Tian Wolford. Yeah, looks like it's going to be a hard pack today. This turf is going to be hard. So, yeah, but we'll take it as it comes. Same for everybody. So, but yeah, enjoy the day. All for Mike, and yeah.
Ja nee, dit is baie koud vanmôre. Ek sien uit vir vandag. Die laaste reis is kom ek regtig lekker gery het. Jy het issues gehad. Vandag voel ek lekker, ek voel gesond, ek voel reg, alles is reg op die fiets, so is reg om te ry vandag. Ja, ons is nou halfpad deur, ja. Ek leer sover nou lekker eers met die punt in die klap en originals, so as ons net aanhou bou nou en vorentoe gaan en dan net verder gaan. En ek wil net baie dankie sê vir oom Tannie Miranda en oom Vian, dis baie lekker die jaar, die events is baie nice, daai dankie vir vandag en ek hoop ons gaan dit geniet vandag.
With this round being the Mikey Pentecost Memorial, we have to mention you're going to be doing a couple of different things today.
Yeah, I think just out of respect and you know, giving something back to Mike, his family, we're going to be asking everybody just before we start to do an honorary lap through the start maze and then line up, and then we're going to go racing in his name today.
Round number 5 of the GXCCs. Here we go. Flag drop. The Q1s, once again, the titanic battle that is Franco Ferri and Gnarly Carly. The Yami 450s running out front with Wolfart stuck off the back of the gate. He would have to plow through the traffic. In the Q2s, Hannah Simon dusting off the Screaming Banshee. He says this was going to be the weapon of choice today. Darby Van Staden and Henny McCow Jr. would do the chase down in the Masters. Vickers Pretorius tagged yet another rocket ship of a whole shot. He is the man at the moment on this gate, and he would run big numbers ahead of Fivas and De Santos. In the veterans, Bonnie Barnard fired up the big 4x4. He says this was going to be the one to go for, with Davy DeVet from the QCon EMD squad on his wheel. And for the ladies, Liesl Barnard, championship points leader, looking to run the numbers once again off the front. 85 pros. The senior 85s, the big swingers. Once again, this would be the double Ds. Drickus, Van der Merwe, Jaden Els, Ben van Skalkbeek having a great start, as well as Hanya de Kock with Derek van Osbeken stuck outside the top 5 off the gate. The Junior 85's mullet man Liam Skeepers gets the job done. Took him 2 corners to get it done, but eventually he saw clear air and he ran with it. On the 65 Pros, Declan Richards is on fire on the GXCCs in 2024. Kellen van Deventer, first season out on the 65s, looking solid with Alexander Nemeth. And on the 50cc gate, Rogan Matthews, Bernard Blicknot heading out onto the big track. Vian tells us what's in store for the morning. Now, I went out yesterday, we checked out the track, very grassland, but I'm going to let Vian take us through the course. Talk to me about the juniors to start with.
Juniors, their track is going to be just over 16, let's call it 16 and a half kilometers. We always keep them tight inside. Where we're standing here, it looks pretty flat and you think, oh, this is going to be a fast one. But let me tell you, it's up and down, left and right, very bumpy with the grass roots and so on. So they're going to be busy, they're going to work hard, and but they're going to have a lot of fun out there. There's maybe 1 or 2 sections where they can open up, but the rest is really flowing and busy.
Let's get out on the track then and start climbing the ladder with our junior riders out there on some choppy technical terrain. The 50cc's definitely felt it, those small wheels. Blake Kruger having to bow out after just 1 lap of racing, said he just simply could not stand up to get above the bumps. Bernard Blicknote, even though he had a real rocket ship of a start, he only dropped down to a number 4 finish with 3 laps under his belt, but still solid numbers. Just tough terrain for some of the small wheels out there. Cameron Hine, definitely a championship player, big enough and tall enough to be able to stand through some of the lumpy, bumpy sections. Good enough to stay on a 4-lap count with a number 3 finish. That shows that he is going to be in the fight for the championship for the rest of the 3 rounds of racing after this. Eben Scholz, always inside of the top 3. I don't think he's finished outside of top 3 on the box the whole way through the championship tour. 4 laps under his belt and 2nd place, but Rogan Matthews was the class of the field, going first and putting his closest rival 1 lap down. On the 65cc gate, Trav Levy, even though he got 5 laps under his belt, had a tough day at the office. He's a championship player, and he takes one of his lowest finishes of the season down in a number 8 for the Moto Klerksdorp Yamaha squad. Lincoln Deister, first of the riders to climb his way inside of a number 7 on the finish. And when you look at the times, it was extremely close between 8th and 5th place, just 3 minutes separating those riders. Armand Buerta, riding out of the Gravity Racing squad and starting to gel nicely with the Yamaha 65cc machine. 6th place gets him on the points once again, as he will taste podium champagne. A number 5 ride coming in for Ulrich Sturley, one of his best rides of the season, and the last rider to tag a 5-lapper, with the top 4 riders staying on the lead lap of 6 counting. Sebastian Nell, one of the debutants moving out of the 50cc category from last year, and a nice growth spurt helping him out to muscle the 65cc machine around. Himself and Alexander Nemeth, as well as Kellen van Deventer, were all over each other in the early laps until gaps started to blow up. Come the finish, Nemeth and van Deventer separated by only 10 seconds. Sebastian Nell dropping out of that fight down to a number 4. Van Deventer, rock solid at this event, definitely found his groove with a number 2 spot, but he had to take the back seat to Declan Richards, the Husqvarna Vans Racing rider out of Mpumalanga, hammering the nail, putting almost 9 minutes into his closest rival. On the Junior 85s, which is always one of our most competitive fields, Pierre Coetzee had some problems on the day. He takes a bath, one of his lowest finishes on the Bikers Warehouse Husqvarna, 8th place for him. Roald Potgieter also looked like he had some problems on the day, just could not find his groove. Nico Melitsani, on the other hand, brought home yet another top 6 finish. A couple of plastics getting loose along the way. He went all goon, losing the front mudguard, but that didn't slow down his pace. Twane Tiempont, a rider on the comeback for Gravity Racing on the Yamaha, coming back from injuries and starting to find that pace that saw her challenging for top 3s at almost every single round last year. 5th place shows she's back on the money, and she stayed on the lead lap. Juan Agostini, 4th place. Toes in, gripping the bike nicely, locking those knees out. The style worked well for him. Stayed on the lead lap and was only less than a minute off the third place wheel of Tekeng Marahi. Marahi is definitely gelling and understanding how to get the best out of himself in his machine at the GXCCs, and this will tag his best finish of the season and improve his standing in the overalls. Jay Eels, second place, and looked like he was on for a win at one point, eventually having to settle for second place, but only lost out this time by less than 30 seconds. So things are tightening up at the top end of the Junior 85 field. It won't be long until the rest of the kids figure out how to get the best of this dude. Liam Skipper's Mullet Man takes another win, but they're getting harder nowadays. Skippers takes the win, but it was close this time. In the Senior 85s, the big swingers out there. 8th place ride coming in for Tamaka Marahi. Also a rider that understands how to get the best out of himself. A lot of the kids coming across from the borders of Lesotho. And this is very Lesotho lowlands, so they'll know how to set their bikes up for that. Hanyu de Kock went out of the gate strong, but eventually a blown rear shock dropped him down to a number 7 ride when he was on point to challenge for a top 5. Ben van Skalkwyk also gated well, going out of the queue inside of the top 3 and fading towards the end of the race down to a number 6. Ratabetsi Umbapoli, number 5 ride. Again, we're starting to see the Lesotho riders come good as they just get a little bit more comfortable with the South African racing terrain that we run, chasing around on the GXCC Tour. Corbin Muller climbs the ladder. He's now respectably inside the top 5 at almost every single race. 4th place. We'll get that confidence boost going as we head towards the final 3 rounds of the tour. Jaden Els, so cool to see Jaden Els figure things out. A former multiple 50cc and 65cc champion, but since he got onto the 85s, it's been a battle. The battle is over now and starting to be won by Els as he ran solid pace inside of the top 3. But yet again, it was the double Ds, a 2-horse race out front. Never separated by more than 30 seconds. Derek van Osbeeken and Drickus van der Merwe from the VW MasterCars Hatfield squad were all over each other, banging bars, and it came down to a slender gap of less than 5 seconds come the end of the race. This was the race on the track. This is the race in the championship. Will it be Derek or Drickus? This time, it was Drickus. But the championship rolls on to the final 3 rounds. Drickus, a busy morning for you. Tell me about the track. It was tech, but it actually opened up quite nicely.
Yeah, the track was very fun. The last 2Ks was very choppy and stuff, but there was a couple of nice straights where I can open it up. Yeah.
As always, you and D, the double Ds. Derek, finding you again?
Yeah, we and Derek had a big dice throughout from the 3rd lap, and yeah, it was lekker.
Tell me what's in for this afternoon. Did the track actually open up? Did it flatten down a little bit? What's it going to be like for this afternoon?
Hopefully this afternoon's track is not as choppy as this morning, because yeah, it was bad.
Mullet Man, that was a busy one. I thought it was actually going to be a slower track than it was, but it was rough, eh?
Yeah, it got very rough, very bumpy. My arms are now like dead. I just want to say a big thanks to Maximum, Gravel Pit, Heimo, my mom and my dad, my brother, my sister at home, and Wimbani.
You're having a cracker championship, hey? What have you got in store for the last 3 rounds?
A lot of fast racing.
Dex, that was a burner. And on these little wheels, how tough was that?
No, it was very tough. This last section was very bumpy and my body was very sore.
You seem to have had a tough season so far. Lots of injuries and fallovers and mechanicals. It seems to be coming right now.
Yeah, I'm just glad I did finish and I had a good time today.
Trav, I rode this track yesterday and the little wheels, how rough was that track?
Very, but it was lekker.
Tell me about your season. You seem to have really gelled nicely on the 65. What's made the difference? Obviously, you're working and training hard.
Yes.
Tell me about the routine of training.
It's just going every day to school, then to the gym, and then I'll exercise when I'm going to home. Then that's all.
We know you're one of the big kids on the 65. When are you moving up to the junior 85s?
If I win the championship, I'm gonna go to the 85.
Let's check things out on the confirmation of the results. Drickus van der Merwe hammers the nail once again, but look at that time. That's how close things are. That's how close it'll be for the rest of the season. Van Asviken just 4 seconds off the win ahead of Els, Muller and Bopoli. Van Skalkvik and de Kock. Liam Skipper's Mullet Man takes another win, but he is not having it all his own way. The times also show that Jay Eels is coming on strong. Marahi, Agostini, Tienpont and Molitsani take us to a top 6 in the stacked field of the Junior 85s. 65cc's at the moment. Unless the kids can find another gear, no one is going to be catching up to the back wheel of Declan Richards. Van Deventer was the best of the rest, ahead of Nemeth, Nell, Sturley, Buerta, Deister and Levy. And on the 50cc gate, Rogan Matthews starting to cement his name at the top of the charts as we roll forward into the final 3 rounds of the season. Schultz, Hein, Blicknote and Kruger take us to the end of the gate. That was our junior category races. We open up the big track now and check out how things went down on the 4-wheel side in the quad categories. On the big track, also, we're going to be talking about the fact that the quads are going to be in love with this one, but they're going to get a big workout. I think there's only like 3 straights on the whole track, so the quads are going to be busy, eh?
Very, very busy. Yeah, again, at one stage they're going to be on top of the copy there, and you look down and you think, it looks so flat here, but it's the elevation changes is constant. It's up and down, left and right, through little old ravines and rivers and so on. It really gets busy, and yeah, as soon as they think they're on the gas, they're going to have to turn again. So bumpy, and I think the guys are going to get really tired. In my opinion, shorter track, which is nearly 44.5 Ks. Top guys, I don't even think they're going to get to the 5 laps. Maybe, maybe not, but we'll see.
Very much grassland and turn track. Certainly after you went out of the whole shot queue, this was one of the few straights on the track, so the quads would be super busy, working the gearbox, working the turning, working the arms and the legs. It was going to be a full body workout. Kelly Van Staden, so solid and consistent in the championship, only managed to finish a single lap. She had problems on her machine on the day, dropping her down to a 4th place. That meant Liesel Simon was up the road into a number 3, and then the Flying Barnards up to the 1s and 2s. Nicole Barnard slots into her customary number 2 position, with Liesel Barnard hammering the nail on the rest of the girls once again. Remember, she's got a couple of choices of weaponry. She's got the 450 and she has got the 4x4. This time the 4x4 took her to the top step and extends her numbers on the championship. After the big hole shot, Bonnie Barnard suffered a puncher, and that put him down to a number 3 spot. We lost Peter Besatenhout at the end of lap number 1 to mechanicals, so Bonnie Barnard took a bit of a bullet in his championship challenge, with Swayce Blicknort, his good pal up the road, taking a 2nd place, one of his highest finishes of the season, but only able to complete 3 laps of the tour. So, who was the winner in the quad veterans? That honour here at round number 5 of the championship going to Tony DeSantos. Tony now starting to move up in the championship challenge. It's so funny how it works out. It's often round number 5 where we start to see different results, different names and different players coming into view for the championship chase. For the quad masters, Vickers Pretorius unable to complete lap number 1. Karan Bajabi got his name on the plate for a number 6 finish after just completing a single lap of racing. Roxy DeSantos, same situation for him in a number 5, with Darren Moyle, all captain stock standard. Still surprising himself and everyone with what he is able to do on that stocker. 4th place and 3 laps under his belt. Fernando DeSantos on the big 700. The 700 Raptors were a handful on this track, with it being very technical and a turn track, and the weight very high up on the 700s. It made things a little bit more difficult. Bernardo Fivas fared slightly better, stayed on the same lap as DeSantos, but 1 position higher, but pulled almost 10 minutes out of his closest rival. He didn't have too much dust because Vickers Pretorius was absolutely gone. The only rider on the Quad Masters gate to pull out a 4-lapper, in other words, to stay on the lead lap. And he's definitely a tasty rider this season. Whole shots and yet another win. He is on a burner. He's got one hand on the trophy with 3 rounds to go. After an impressive whole shot, some problems on the day in the Q2s put Hannah Simon down to a number 3 ride. Still stays in the championship hunt, but he'd have dearly liked to have walked away with yet another win. He said this was one of his favorite tracks of the season. With the 3rd going to Hannes, Davy Van Staden was able to move himself up into 2nd place. One of the taller riders and able to use that leverage ratio to get the best out of the big 700. Also a rider that does flip between the 4x4 and the rear-wheel drive version of his machines. And Darby was on point once again. Very nearly walked away with the win. When you check out the time splits, there was something like 20 seconds between himself and Henny Macau. They were all over each other in the early laps. Eventually, Henny Macau Jr. getting the edge and walking away with the win. That's going to change things up in the Championship Challenge as well. In the Q1s, Kobus Knotzer unable to complete lap number 2, so he scores a point just for getting the finish in 6th position. Tiaan Wolfart, a former winner on the tour, couldn't get the gate that he wanted, got jammed up in the dust and could only climb the ladder up to a number 5 spot. Francois Smallberger Sr., 4th place for him on the Honda, but he'll be pretty happy with that as well because he remains inside the top 3 for the Championship Challenge. Sean Kutzer is one of the riders that has started to figure out how to get the best out of himself, coming off the KTM last season, swinging a leg onto his brother's Honda and starting to understand how to get the best out of himself and that package. 3rd place gives him his best ride of the season thus far. He also stayed on the lead lap, not too far off the back wheel of Gnarly Carly. Carly Simon, 2nd place after a bogey event at the previous round. Looks like she is taking the fight all the way to Franco Pretorius. We'll check out the points on the plate when we go forward into the Dalmas round. But with Franco Pretorius getting the win once again, it should tighten things up in the championship. But I think it is swinging the way of Franco right now as the Yamahas go 1 and 2 with Pretorius on the top step once again. It was a tough track for the quaddies, but I think they were happy with it.
En dit was baie lekker geweest vandag. Ek is baie bly ek het klaar gemaak vandag. Ek moes bietjie vir die laaste 2 races opgemaak het. Ek het baie geniet vandag. Die baan was lekker rof geweest. Lekker gery en daarom geen issues gehad nie. Het gaan rol wees. Die baan is lekker rof. Hy's besig om 'n bietjie beter te word in die graslande. Maar verder is dit baie lekker geweest. Is regtig baie lekker. Ja nee, definitief. Hierdie help weer baie. Nou is dit so hou en nie weer probleme kry verder in die jaar nie.
Gnarly, I think the word sums it up. That was a gnarly, rough track, but a fun one, hey?
Super fun. It was kind of fast, but also a bit choppy.
Tell me about the favourite bits of the track. Did you find that one tree? No, there were no trees on this track.
No, there was no tree sections, only fast flow sections and some mud, so we had some fun.
Fun indeed. Here's confirmation of Franco Pretorius having the most fun though, as he puts almost 5 minutes into Gnarly Carly. That is the fight for the championship. Sean Kutzer starting to join the party with his 3rd place, his best rider of the season ahead of Smallberger, Wolfart and Knutzer. Into the Q2s, looks like it was going to be a Hannes Simon show once again on the Banshee, but unfortunately Mechanical's holding him back. Still stayed on the lead lap, still got 3rd, and that's going to help him in the championship. But Henny Macau Jr. stands on the top step ahead of Davy van Staden this time around, but that was a close battle for the win there. In the Masters, Vickers Pretorius, not only a whole shot superstar, but also able to link the laps together, and he absolutely hammered the field, putting huge time into his closest rivals, Fivas de Santos, Moyle de Santos, Jarby, and Pretorius. Vickers Pretorius heading to the big number 1 come the end of the season. The veterans, Tony de Santos got the big cheese this time around ahead of Swayze Blicknot, with Bonnie Barnard's punches holding him back, only able to complete 2 laps of the race, with Peter Besadenhout also just a 1 lap under his belt. For the ladies, the Barnards putting on the big show. Liesel Barnard putting Nicole Barnard down by the tune of 2 laps. It was a tough day in the saddle for the girls. Liesel Barnard happy with her 2 laps. And Carly van Staden, 4th place. That's going to drop her down maybe 1 position in the championship. That was the morning session as we get ourselves ready to go forward into the bikes. First, a word from VW MasterCars Hatfield. For the last 2 seasons, GXCC has been partnering with our amazing friends out there at VW MasterCars Hatfield. And as always, they've got some amazing specials. Get yourself the brand new Polo from VW MasterCars Hatfield in Pretoria and only start paying at the beginning of 2025. This is an amazing deal for all of our youngsters who are coming out of the 125s, maybe up into the 250s and looking for car number 1. So get on up to VW MasterCars Hatfield and check out the new Polo Vivo. For the afternoon race, everyone was locked and loaded and ready to go. Happy that the quads had been out there to flatten out the track. Tales of turfland, grassland, and very much a turn track were abuzz in the pits. Before we headed to the gates, we headed to the pits to chat to a few smiling faces.
Wayne, we caught up at the last round of the championship. Unfortunately, you didn't get to ride that one, but this one, it's going to be a custom-made 300 track for you.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone's asking me, Wayne, why are you not on the 350 today, should I say, on the 300? So I said, nah, we just saw the pictures that were out there and decided, no, this is the beast to be on today. I think it's going to be well worth my effort bringing this bike out, eh?
100%. It's choppy, it's grassland, and you're going to be turning.
Yeah, it's great. 2 weeks ago we did the farm jam and we just turned there, and we're on the 300, so I think we'll be ready for today and just have it all out there.
How's the fitness? How's the body? You looking in good shape again?
Yes, not too bad. Daddy ribs are still hurting a bit. You know, the stupid little tumble at farm jam. But, you know, they just like tweak up a bit. But otherwise, fitness is there. But, yeah, Peter, all those guys, they're strong as the oxes, as we say, you know. But we'll give them a good run today.
Peter, it's going to be a lumpy, bumpy day, brother.
That's what you told me. I hope you're wrong. But like you said, I can sit through anything. But I'm afraid of what I'm going to sit through today. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, the rest of the racing, I mean, it's a nice place to come back to. You can see what Vion's tried to do here, put us into the grasslands and chase a bit of the dust, but you've got some nice wind to work with today as well.
Yeah, the wind picked up now, and yeah, I'm also excited for these type of races, to go through those corners tight, even if it's rough. The suspension's going to hold me, I hope.
Cartulicious, tell me a story.
Oh, we're back here, this area. I remember it from Secunda a few years ago. Very nice, bumpy. I think a little bit less dusty, but I think this is standing place only for the entire race. So yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, everything's good, prepped. Body's a bit tender, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Shout out to what today is. It's the Mikey Memorial, and everyone's got it a bit heavy at the moment.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's always a lump in the throat. Yeah, it's extremely heavy. I try to find as much red kit as I've got. Red helmets, red boots, red pants, as far as we can go. And yeah, I mean, this is this is Mark. This is where he loved being. This is what he lived for. And I think I think we'll do some good for him today, and really leave everything out there on the track and just go down and have a good time. And yeah, I mean, look, we'll forever have Mark in our thoughts. I think it's going to be a long road to try and get over this one. But yeah, I mean, such is life, unfortunately. So yeah, looking forward to a good day out, and yeah, let's see how it goes.
Laurie, it's one thing to come racing, but this is a very important day, isn't it, for all of us?
Yeah, Matt, we're back obviously racing. Life goes on, unfortunately. Big turnout here. Well done to GXCC for, picking their heads up and carrying on. And yeah, it's a special, sad day for us. We're here with one rider less. But I know Mike is with us in the spirit. But yeah, we're going to go out here and dedicate this race to Mike, and we're going to do our best and enjoy the sport.
Nate Dog, 125s, and this is going to be hard terrain to work with, brother. It's all about bike handling.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot about suspension. Last couple of weeks I've been working on it, so hopefully it's all good. Looks like it's going to be tough, and with the quads times, I think it's going to be nice and quick.
Shout out to obviously the rest of the team here. You guys are here with heavy hearts, but we've got a race for Mikey. We've got to do it for Mikey.
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully I can get the win for him today. He taught me a lot, and I hope I can bring it out today. Show him that I'm going to take the #1 plate home.
Blakey, same old interview, but a different place. 250 gate, there's like 10 guys that can take the win. What do you got today?
Yeah, no, we're going to see what we have today. It's a pretty stacked gate. A lot of us are really good out there. So, trying to do my best. That's all I can do. And yeah, hopefully come out on top.
It's a big hole shot queue as well. You guys are probably going to be stretching second gear before you go into that turn, eh?
Yeah, it's a bit of a long straight, but I've been good on the starts this year, so I'm hoping to carry that through to today and get a good start somewhere up near the front and hopefully do well.
You got some good traction in the championship as well, and obviously this is the halfway marker of the season, so are we going for wins or are we just getting those points?
Yeah, no, I think the goal is always to go for wins. That's always the goal when I race, and yeah, I've had a bit of bad luck here and there in the championship, couple wins, one win actually, but yeah, just always go for wins when I'm out there, and if I can't get a win, take as many points as I can get.
Ryan, you're on a burner this season, and this is a great track for you in the little 250. I think you've got a good chance of a good overall.
Yeah, I'm hoping it looks very rough, so I'm hoping it's going to be a good day out on the bike. I'm looking forward to it.
Remember Secunda last time, it's this choppy dirt and it just doesn't get soft.
I can remember last time I was here was on a 125, and the top three in the 125 class was a few seconds apart, so hopefully today's a good day racing.
Peter, back at the racing GXCC round number 5. Is this going to be a good track for you or not? Because this is a little bit slower than you like to go.
doesn't matter. Still doing the same thing. We're out here to have fun. Do it for Mike, and go flat out as we like.
Gavaroo, nice busy turn track for you. I see you've dusted off the smoker.
Yes, yeah, we've brought the two-stroke. We've heard things have slowed down a bit. It's just a bit easier to throw it around, so yeah, that's why we brought that today.
You're in good nick for the championship this year, hey?
Yeah, we've got a steady 4th at the moment, hoping to push it to a 3rd, but we'll see how it goes.
Obviously, we know it's going to be chop land like it is in the pits, so have you changed anything on the setup on the bike?
I'm still running my Enduro suspension from the last farm jam, so I feel like that should be nice and soft for today.
Yeah, the first time being out at Leandra. It looks bumpy, but I think it's going to be a good day, eh? Hope the dust stays down. Try to get bang some bars with Johnny B there. Had a good ride with him at Impey. We rode together at Impey. So yeah, I just want to keep safe. Thank the Lord that we are to keep us safe. Of course, the family, the team, Chris from MasterCars. Yeah, it's going to be a good one, guys. I'm sure we're going to have a good day and we'll bring it back home safely. Yes, of course. It's not a good day, but I'm sure he's with us, and this is what he wanted us to do. He didn't want us to now go and lay low. He wanted us to bang bars, and yeah, we're doing it for Marky, the family, and for UB Leisure, for the Honda team. Yeah, condolences, and yeah, we're still heartbroken about it, but like we said, Marky would want us to bang bars and take it home for him. So that's what we're here for.
Johnny, you're obviously having an immaculate season in your championship, but also on this track, what you can maybe think about on your bike is going for an overall.
Yeah, I think it's quite tight and flowing out here, so overall might be in the quads today. But yeah, Scott's fast, so we'll see. I'll try and catch the big guys on the 450s and yeah, just be safe.
Obviously you want to chase onto those guys, but I think the dust might be coming up this afternoon, but not as bad as we expected. It's still turf land here.
Yeah, I see the wind's blowing at least, so that will help with the dust, and I think it should be fine.
Rooster, a bit of a gap between racing, but I see you've still been tagging the big mileage, but have you been tagging the bike setup, because this is a bike setup track?
So you do mileage to get the bike set up for whatever GXCC has to throw at you. We've been to Secunda before, but that was in 2019. Haven't been here in a while, and this is an all-new venue. So I've set up the bike as best as I can. I put in some good saddle time last weekend, so I'm ready to go.
John, you've been in good nick this year. Actually, the race is starting to come to you, and the championships are looking solid. Is this a good track for you, or what?
Yeah, it depends on how it looks. It looks slow with the quads, but the championships, I think I'm laying 3rd or 4th. I'm not sure. With a few guys out now, we'll see what happens towards the end of the year.
You seem to, if you have a good gate, you have a good race. That's really what you've got to get down to.
Yeah. If I get a good gate today, it'll be good. I don't think we'll be able to catch Scotty, but yeah, we'll be in the top 3, top 5, definitely.
Scotty, a brand new venue. We're back at round number 5 of the GXCCs, and it's an important one, eh?
Yeah, I think today is all about Mike and, racing for him and honoring him and remembering him. And yeah, it's just, one of those days that's going to be tough for all of us. And I think most of all, we go out there and we race for Mike and we have fun. And yeah, this one's for Mike.
This one is definitely for Mikey Pentecost. Before the race, as we did in the morning session, we had a Mikey Pentecost Memorial Parade of the start area where all the riders showed their respect by donning red, Mikey's racing color, and remembering our fallen hero. The day was going to be all about remembering Mikey and showing Mikey what we were all capable of, keeping him in our hearts and our minds, staying safe out there, but also going as fast as possible like the 929 always did. Vian rocking the flag, and the wind was up, which is going to help us in the afternoon session. OR1 Pros. Brendan Kotzer takes his first ever GXCC hole shot, beating out on Jean Vilkin and Scotty H. This was going to be a banger of a race. It was lining up nicely. John Buerta, another big hole shot, running off into the distance to see if he could catch up to the Pro 1s. Stalled out on turn 2. That allowed Lilford to come up alongside and run the numbers. A big loop out off the gate for Tyron Beverly on the Honda. He would have to chase from the back of the pack, where Derek Karam, Ryan Peltzer, Peter Karam and Cam Becker were banging bars heading out onto the big loop. For the high score 125, Nathan Westerdale and Murray Smith were joined forces at the front. The two Honda riders running the big cheese to see if they could go 1 and 2 once again. In the seniors, Bu Levy pulled a big hole shot, his first of the season, beating out on Kochi Mahoney. And Yanni Potkira was back with us on the big 500 once again. Close racing off all of the gates so far. Back onto the gates where we picked up on the Masters. A little bit of an early pop for Farmer. Peter Hall, Warwick van Schalkwyk, and the rest of the chasers were going to be busy. It was going to be so important to get a nose ahead with the Turfland firing bullets off the back wheels. In the veteran category, Jeff Dan on the Pepsi Plastics Kawa once again hammering the nail off the gate. He saw clear air ahead of Anton Moret, Willem Swechers and Jeremy Smith. Into the Pro-Ams where the OR1 Big Bangers, Bennu Stradum fired it out of the gate. Quarter pounder just off his wheel and medium size doing the chase down with Nathan Minnie. Also on the big 500 starting to gel with the GXCCs. OR2 Pro-Ams, 2-horse race out front in the championship, 2-horse race for the whole shot cheese as well. Jaco Nordia and Dieter de Vet in a class of their own, as once again they would go out to see who was going to win the dogfight. OR3 Pro-Ams, Jaden Boyce on the Kawa stayed out of all the chaos behind him, himself and Jason Leslie, seeing what they could do about running the numbers as a ton of fallers started to come into view. OR4 Pro-Ams, Jake the Snake Pretorius on the Pepsi Plastics Kawa has made this category his own in the last couple of rounds, but this time around it was going to be the might of VW MasterCars Hatfield on the KTM. Drickus van der Merwe on his wheel. On the senior Pro-Ams, Richard Hine and Edwin Gower getting the advantage. Big Chris Homser Senior getting squeezed onto the hay bales. Third place was going to be him doing the chase down for the rest of the day. And on the ladies, Brooklyn Lilford hammering the field with the pocket rocket Nicole Duplessis and Shelley Tyler doing the chase down. Bianca Edwards recovering from a bad start. She would go out onto the field in a 3-spot. For the afternoon session, big story, massive gates as well. For this time of year, winter, to go over 200 entries is huge. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We always see a little bit of a decline over the winter period. Was a little bit worried on Wednesday morning when we woke up and we saw the entries were sitting at 105, but we ended up going over 221, I think. So yeah, that's good for this time of the year, and I think that's a good thing for us to build on for next year.
Let's head out onto the track and start climbing the ladders, picking up on our Pro-Am categories to kick things off. The Senior Pro-Ams, a new venture coming into certainly the second half of the championship tour in the GXCCs, and it is bearing fruit. We've got a 6-rider lineup, 6th place going to Aubrey Meyer, Hendrik Buerta, just a little bit higher up the road from him on a number 5 spot. Remember, the Senior Pro-Am is a situation where the riders of age don't necessarily have to line up with the big swingers like Kochi, Mahoney, and the rest of the guys on the pro gates. Abram Kurabali, a name that started to really understand what it is to come GXCC racing. Happy with the layout of the track here, happy with his 4th place, 2 laps under his belt, and not too far off a number 3 spot. Chris Homser Senior got jammed up on the gate, and he spent the rest of the 2 laps doing the chase down. Desperately wanted 1 or 2 more laps to be able to climb up the ladder, but he'll be happy enough with a 3 spot, the main man out of VW MasterCars Hatfield. Up the road from him, with a clean gate, Eddie Gower getting it done, 2 laps under his belt. And Chris Homser Senior, when you check out the time splits, was less than 10 seconds off catching up to Eddie, so that would have helped out Big Chris in the championship. Gower getting the number 2 spot with Richard Hine, no one getting onto his back wheel. He was 4 minutes up the road with a standout breakaway win here at round number 5. Hine takes the cheese out here at Leandra. In the OR4s, where we see a lot of cross-riding, riders racing in the morning and the afternoon session, Jaden Webb gets 2 laps under his belt. Bryson Daister, also a morning racer, now breaking out and trying to understand what it is to race in the big loop. 2 laps after a full morning session would have been hard work for sure. 7th place for Daister. Free Bosch, one of the riders we've also seen coming up from the junior ranks. He'll be happy enough with the numbers that he ran, but he has to find quite a bit of pace to be able to break his way inside the top 5. 5th place, Chris Homser Jr. breaking out a freshie, 2025 model of the KTM 250s. Not a great gate, but every lap started to look a little bit more comfortable, and we're starting to see Chris Harmser Jr. deliver on all of his training. Matthias Tiempont, a couple of Yamahas doing the big duke out for the 3 and 4 on the day. Matthias, the last of the riders with just 2 laps under his belt, breaking his way into a top 4 in the early days. Himself and Peter Colleen were all over each other. Eventually, Peter Colleen stretching his legs and staying on the lead lap, getting 3 laps under his belt and a 3rd place finish. That's going to see him improve in his championship challenge as well. Couple of wins on the season for Jake the Snake. Super happy with his move up from the junior categories into the OR4s. Loving the 250 machine. 2nd place this time around and not too far off the win, but he just could not hold back the aggressive riding on the 125 Smoker KTM of Drickus van der Merwe, the VW MasterCars Hatfield rider, going 1 for 1 on the day, winning out in the Pro 85s and on the OR4 category in the afternoon. A dominant performance from the 150. In the OR3 Pro-Ams, one of the stacked gates on the afternoon session, Brendan De Bruyn got the job done inside of a number 8, 2 laps under his belt with Jaden Boyce. Even though he pulled the cheese on the whole shot, could not run the numbers the whole way through the day. He did stay on the lead lap, but he lost quite a few positions with 1 or 2 mistakes out there, eventually dropping down to a number 7, just showing how competitive the OR3 Pro-Am gate really is. Leonard van der Berg was up the road inside of a number 6. He also stayed on a 3-lap count, understanding how the terrain runs and gelling well with his machine. With only 3 laps, and the story for 3 laps, normally we would race 4 or 5, is that in the afternoon session there was a fire that broke out on the back end of the course on lap number 4, causing the race organizers to pull back the results for the end of lap number 3, which is the last clean racing lap. Cam Farrell did a great job of work, breaking his way inside of the top 5, breaking out his 250F. Nice to see Cam back on the GXCC gates with Henko Prinsloo into a number 4 and Janko Van Niekerk up the road inside of a number 3. Van Niekerk was on the money, only losing out to a number 2 finish by a matter of seconds to Philip Hobbs. Hobbs, a little bit late on the brakes there on the closing kilometers of the event, getting the back wheel bucked and kicked on the concrete bridge and then heading on home. Up the road though, Jason Leslie, not a bad start, eventually made the pass to see clear air by the end of lap number 1, and then he was gone. Leslie, 3 laps counted, and eventually almost 5 minutes the gap, showing that Leslie has got a good program working out for him on the Yami. OR2 Pro-Am, showing that if you almost crash or take out the camera crew, you'll definitely make it onto the show. Christian Swartz gets 2 laps under his belt inside of a number 8 finish, with Justin Boniface coming across from the wild world of motocross and Yamaha to show what he can do. First time out at the GXCCs and a 7th place ride. He'll be happy with that. Up the road, Ethan DeVette inside of a number 6 ride. Has a little bit more experience racing on the GXCCs. Got more comfortable as the time went on. 2 laps scored and counted for a number 6 ride. Russ Van Gool, number 5 for him, normally inside of the top 4, so a little bit off point on the day. It's going to see him lose 1 or 2 points in the championship chase, but Van Gool is a championship player. He'll be there every single round and get the cheese every single event. Ruben Stratum, the C2, on the back wheel more than he's on 2 wheels, having a little bit of a bogey day as well. Has come off a couple of wins on the season. This time has to settle for a number 4. Just seeing a couple of different riders coming good in this technical terrain. Oscar Masango, who is classically an enduro and technical rider, has started to show his wheel and his flash of speed and pace at the GXCCs to show what he can do. 3rd place, he'll be happy with that one. The 2-horse race out front in the OR2 Pro-Ams on the course and in the championship was on fire once again. Jaco Nordia and Dieter de Vet all over each other throughout the day's racing, never separated by more than a few seconds. In the early laps, they were literally banging bars and trading paint the whole way through the day. 3 laps, the fastest lap times of the category, and eventually just 2 seconds the gap between de Vet and Nordia. The advantage to de Vet in the championship now. OR1 Pro-Ams, the big bangers. Kenneth Kleinams waving the Kleinams name high and proud as he breaks his way inside the top 10 to sink single digits on a number 8 finish ride. Mark Stratum, 7th ride for him, 2 laps under his belt. Kleinams and Stratum, the last of the 2 laps scored and counted. Johannes Krobler was a little bit higher up the road, taking a number 6 ride. the first of the riders to break their way onto the lead lap, showing how fast the OR1 Pro-Am and many of the Pro-Am category racers are staying on the lead pro lap. Krobler, 6th place. Nathan Minnie on the Big 5 Honey breaks his way onto the big show. First time we've seen him for a long time breaking his way into the big numbers. The 5 Honey showing class and making it work. So close to tagging the back wheel of medium-sized Shane Nienaber. Had a nightmare build up to the race. Got his kit bag stolen on the way to the race, so he was borrowing and stealing some kit, just enough to get himself on the line. And the VW MasterCars rider on the Big 5 Honey, happy with his 4th place ride. That'll keep him in the championship hunt. Ben Vessels has his best ride of the season, breaking his way inside of a top 3. And he wasn't too far off the pace of the top 2. Eventually, just over 2 minutes off the back wheel of Benru Stratum. Stratum has been on a burner, but this was a very physical track. And even though the riders were only scored on 3 laps, they were out there for 4 laps, and they said they got super tired. Stratum in a number 2 spot. Francois Smallberger, the quarter pounder, gets the job done and takes his win at round number 5. The championship is between Stratum and Smallberger for the next 3 rounds. Here's confirmation of quarter pounder getting the big win ahead of Stratum, Vessels, Nienaber and Minnie. Great ride on the 500 for Minnie, beating out on Krobler, Stratum and Clenhams. The championship rolls on to Delmas in just under a month's time. The 2-horse race out front in the OR2 Pro-Ams, Dieter de Vet and Jaco Nordier, the closest finish of the day. 2 seconds in it for the win, beating out on Masango, Stratum, Van Gool, de Vet, Boniface and Swartz. One of the craziest gates on the day, the OR3 Pro-Ams, where Jason Leslie let the race come to him. Made a nice clean pass on lap number 1 and he was gone, beating out on Hobbs, Van Niekerk, Prinsloo, Fairall, Vanderberg, Boyce and De Bruyn. OR4 Pro-Ams, where we see Drickus van der Merwe have the perfect day, winning out on the Pro 85s and the OR4s in the morning session. Jake the Snake was very close in attendance though, just 30 seconds between the top 2, beating out on Colleen Tienpont, and Chris Homser Jr. showed good pace in the number 5 spot. On the senior Pro-Ams, Richard Hine and Edwin Gower benefiting from a clean gate. Chris Homser Sr. just missing out on that top 2 by a matter of seconds. That was our Pro-Am category races. We get ready to go forward into the ladies and the age group classes. For the ladies class, Bianca Edwards unfortunately taking a big dive on lap number 1. She was a no-show for the rest of the day, and we wish her a speedy recovery on the Bikers Warehouse Honda. Up the road then, Gabby Fotheringham came back to racing with us and stayed on a 2-lap count. Number 4 position for her. The Pocket Rocket, Nicole Duplessis, 1 or 2 small mistakes out there, but still 3rd place, and that's going to keep her in the running for the championship. The ladies' gates, we'd like to see a few more ladies, but it's great to see some returning champions. A former Pro-Am ladies champion from a couple of seasons back, Shelley Tyler, back on the money, back on point, 2nd place, not too far off the back wheel of eventual race winner. The Lilfords have come in swinging this season. We'll be catching up with Brooklyn Lilford at the next race as she barrels towards her first big number 1 plate. Brooklyn Lilford hammered onto the ladies, putting 10 minutes into her closest rival here at round number 5. For the veterans category, banging big gates once again, Conrad Edwards down there in a number 8, normally a more technical rider. The father of Bianca Edwards said he needed some seat time and some speed work. He definitely got a good workout here at round number 5. Himself and Bessinger were all over each other in the early laps. Iswan Hall also enjoyed his time in the saddle. Slightly softer setup on his machine, and he'd have benefited from that as well in the choppy terrain, eventually walking away with a number 7 finish. Lars Brandlin making a name for himself at the GXCCs on the veteran gate, getting 2 solid racing laps under his belt. Dick Bessinger waving the flag for the stacked gates and entry for the ultimate team of VW MasterCars Hatfield, walking away with a number 5. Should still be sitting inside the top 5 in the championship hunt as well. Anton Moret and Willem Swickers were all over each other in the early laps, and by the end of the race they were separated by less than 50 seconds. So that's going to be a battle to watch out for in the championship hunt as well. Husky versus Yamaha, Swickers versus Moret. Moret had a very solid gate, and that allowed him to run early pace with some of the big swingers out front. Jeremy Smith got a sublime start and ran solid pace the whole way through the afternoon session. Said he was super happy with the setup on his machine and how the track started to form out. All the riders saying thank you so much to all the quad racers for flattening down the grasslands out there. It did run up quite nicely towards the end, and I think lap number 3 and 4 were absolutely perfect for the track. Jeff Dan, never troubled on the day. Perfect hole shot, clear laps, solid. Standard option, Jeff Dan. In the Masters category, Francois Bosch broke his way inside of a top 8. Pretty happy with his results on the day. Had a nice fueling strategy as well, was able to run a 2-lapper before he came in for his pit stops. The Wolfarts have come into GXCC racing and are loving their time, whether it's on 2 wheels or 4 wheels. JD Wolfart on a number 7, showing what he can do, showing the kids that the old man has still got the skills to make it happen. JJ Duval, 1 or 2 little blips on his 350cc machine, riding out of the VW MasterCars squad, but still 6th place will still give him good numbers on the championship. Himself and Peter Compan were all over each other, and actually, come the end of the race, were separated by less than a minute. You saw very close bunching on this track, and it definitely was a leveler. Nothing too fast, nothing too high speed, nothing too technical, just right smack bang in the middle of the sweet spot. Compan, good enough for number 5, one of his best rides of the season, in fact, and the big smile on his face stayed on a 3-lap count. Up the road, the guys that are going to be racing for the championships come the end of the season. Last year, making the big switch across from Husqvarna onto KTM and picking up a deal with the Roost KTM squad, Francois Swanepoel. Consistency is key. He got a number 4 spot. Farmer, big hole shot, but quite a decent sized crash, putting Farmer down to eventually a number 3 finish. He's still nursing some fractured ribs, so he'll have been a little bit sore after that one, eventually having to settle for a 3rd place ride. Warwick van Schalkwyk, he was in the mix. In the early laps, it was Farmer, van Schalkwyk and Hall. In fact, at one point, it looked like van Schalkwyk was going to be able to walk away with a big win. He was dangerously close this time around. 2nd place, and just under 20 seconds off the back wheel of Peter Hall. Peter Hall had one of the toughest days in the saddle, and I do mean that. The man rarely stands up, and this was rough terrain. So he was working that rear suspension on the Pepson Plastics factory car hard. But it didn't matter. Peter still saw the checkers, and he still saw yet another big win. On the senior category, where we saw incredible racing, certainly in the first 2 laps of the day. Conrad Sieber broke his way inside a top 8, and he Blichnote up the road into a 7. But it was the riders that were inside the top 5 that were eye-wateringly fast, laying down some pro category lap times. Blichnote, number 7, with 3 laps under his belt. Sean Badenhorst, championship racing player, once again 6th place. That'll see him still stay inside the top 6 come the end of the season, happy with the setup on his Yamaha machine. Gerard Foster, something has clicked with Gerard this season. Super happy with the setup on his factory Honda machine. And 5th place will put a big smile on the dial of Gerry as he rolls forward into the last 3 rounds of the season. Bew Levy, after getting the cheese and getting the whole shot, 1 or 2 small mistakes out there, dropping him down to an eventual 4th place. Himself and Vernon Lowe were banging bars for a solid lap. The factory Honda out of Moto Klerksdorp versus the Ryan Smith 500 Roost KTM of Vernon Lowe. Vernon, new to GXCC racing, has got a great background in racing though across all formats, and great to see Vernon getting the cheese on a number 3, his best ever GXCC finish. Kochi was there rocking and rolling as always, looks in great shape in the second half of the season, riding out of the Shimwell's factory Yamaha squad, but he just could not hang with the back wheel of Lawrence Mahoney. I'll tell you what though, Kochi was right there with him on lap number 1. Lap number 2 and 3 started to show a little bit of fade. The gap eventually just 1.5 minutes, so Kochi is closing things down, but at the moment it's still on the Honda, the Lawrence Mahoney show. The high school 125 category in 2024 has been so hard to call. There's a couple of tasty riders out the top end, but to break your way inside the top 6 is becoming harder and harder almost at every single round. So much talent coming into this category this season. Lohan LaRue breaks his way inside of a top 8. He has tasted top 6 before, so it just shows how fast things are running out there throughout the entire top 10. Dion van Stad inside of a number 7. We've talked about him quite a few times. and then Ewan Hamsa breaks his way inside the top 6. You'll always hear different names inside the top 6 at almost every single round because we have so much talent coming from South Africa and across the borders. Kakliso Kasipi, one of the riders coming across from Lesotho, showing how fast he can run inside of the top 5. And again, the story of the Lesotho riders is every single round of the GXCCs we go to, they look and get a little bit more comfortable with the South African racing terrain, and the results are starting to show it. Alex Grobler definitely came into the season as a top 3 runner. He's been battling because there's been so much movement coming up from the Pro 85 gate. Grobler will be relatively happy with his number 4 finish. Franco Ferri has decided to lay down the small bikes and get onto the big bike. A rider coming back from injuries and showing his true racing class. And the first time we've seen his true speed on the Roost KTM. He'll be super happy with the 3rd place ride. Murray Smith, another rider on the comeback trail after some injuries, had a good gait and eventually his teammate coming past him. Murray Smith, a former 85 Pro champion though, will be happy with his pace running in the 2 spot. The problem is his teammate running out of the CIT Factory Honda Racing Squad is dominating this category. Nathan Westerdale hammering the nail, putting huge time chunks into the rest of the high school 125 category.
Brother, for a 125, I think that was the ultimate track.
Yo, it was so much fun. It was just corner, no dust. Yes, it was nice.
I think probably one of your best overalls as well. You've climbed up probably close to within the top 10.
I think so, yes. I was having so much fun. I was just going, catching people, passing. Definitely one of my favorite tracks so far.
Laurie, I know you were a big fan of that track, brother.
Yeah, Matt. Reminds me of the GXCC we did there in Secunda.
Yeah.
Sweeping corners, turf ground. It was very safe. It was well laid out. Well done to GXCC. Well marked. There was a couple of corners where the rocks exposed and a couple of dips, but everything was marked. Luckily no dust. The wind was helping a lot today. So it was a fun day. You could chase from the word go. You could put the hammer down and now you can catch the guy in front of you and stay on his back wheel and pass him. And yeah, so it was a hard day. When conditions allow you to push like that, it gets hard, but it was fun. It was very much fun.
You can see that your conditioning and your bike setup is better than it was at the beginning of the year. You've definitely developed, and you're not sucking wind when you come off the bike. You look a bit fresher.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, Roger Bergstrom helped me with my suspension, and it's made a hell of a difference. And like you say, we're getting comfortable on the bike, and the setup was good today. I ran a softer setup, which I was nervous about, but it worked. It worked well. So yeah, I mean, it's a great bike. Honda's a really good bike. Thank you to the team. They're quicker than me in the pits. I have to quickly eat my stuff and then they're waiting for me. So well done to the team. Big thank you to Harry for the opportunity to be in the team. And yeah, it was a good day out.
As is Peter, you always find someone to play with out there, hey?
No, these guys keep me busy. First it was Wayne, and in the beginning he got the whole shot, and yes, he threw me with those, you know, the clay rods and whatever, hit me on the mouth. I was a little bit out, but I got it together, passed him, and I was just starting to relax and enjoy my ride. Then Worry came and he right up my ass, and yeah, well, it was like a crazy last 2 rounds, flat out all the time. So, but I enjoyed the track very well, and I think well marked Vian did a good job, and you know what, after the race now, I really feel safe going out, and I'm happy.
Thanks for that, Peter. Warwick, we're going to go straight across to you, brother. Warwick, you're kind of on your comeback tour this season, and yeah, the pace is there, but how are you feeling, man?
No, I'm pretty naked. Definitely not fit enough. I came here to get fit, and the race just came to me. I was just trying to keep the pace to see how my fitness is, and I really enjoyed it. I'd like to have won and give that honor to Mike Pentecost, my brother, my teammate, my friend. Thank you, Lord, for taking him underneath your arm, there where you are. He's won the race already.
Checking out the results then, Nate Dogg hammers the nail on his competition, putting massive chunks of time into his closest rival. Murray Man back on point in second place ahead of Fourie, Krobler, Kasipi, Hamsa, Van Stad and Leroux. Into the senior category, where it's the Lawrence Mahoney show once again, but Kochi is right there to pick up the pieces if any mistakes happen. Kochi's pace was very strong here at round number 5. Vernon Lowe, welcome to 3rd place. A fantastic ride out of some new blood, just beating out on Bu Levy. Peter Hull hammers a nail on the competition, but Warwick van Skalkwyk also coming on strong. Even though he's still carrying 1 or 2 injuries, the pace is right there. Farmer, 3rd place after 1 or 2 lie-downs, hurting those already bruised up ribs, just beating out on Swanepoel. Into the veteran category, where once again it's the Jeff Den show beating out on Jeremy Smith. Marais, Swickers, Dick Bessinger down there in a number 5, beating out on Lars Brandlin. The veteran championship almost wrapped up already by Big Den. For our ladies category, Brooklyn Lilford, almost unstoppable in the 2024 championship. Shelley Tyler, a former Pro-Am champion, back on the money in a number 2 spot. A great track for her, beating out on the Pocket Rocket, Nicole Duplessis, Fotheringham, and Edwards. Unfortunately, a big lie down on lap number 1. Woo! Let's catch our breath as we go forward into the Pro categories. OR3 Pros, this was going to be a huge one. Demel Duplessis, actually a more technically gifted rider, very, very strong at the enduros and hard enduros. Got the last minute call up for the Pepsi Plastics Cower squad. Showed good pace and form, running inside of a top 8. Blake Young could not get the gate that he wanted. He can run inside the top 3, normally so good off the gate, but this time around, Blake Young having to take his lowest finish of the season down there in a number 7. It was a similar situation for Ryan Peltzer, a man that was on the cards to maybe claim the championship this season. 6th place is definitely going to hurt him. We do have a throwaway this season. Remember though, we're back to the 8-round championship where you can throw away your lowest score. But Peltzer is going to be regretting that number 6 finish on the day. Tyron Beverly will be regretting looping it out off the gate. He's normally inside the top 3 coming out of the whole shot queue. This time around was last out the gate and spent the whole day chasing through the lappers and the traffic. 5th place, he'll be happy with that. But he will be ruining the day that he looped that thing out. Vian Wenzel back on point once again, chasing inside the top 4. And the top 4 were all over each other. The time gaps were very tight inside of those big numbers. Vian Wenzel on the Pepsi Plastics Kawasaki, not too far off the back wheel of Cam Becker. Cam Becker came to life at this event, a former championship runner in the OR2 category back in the day, and getting the last minute call up on the Kawasaki squad. But it was a 2-horse race out front between the brothers. The first time we've seen that this season since they both swung a leg into the OR3 Pro category. Peter Karam walking away with the win ahead of Derek Karam. That's a Roost KTM versus a Moto Klerksdorp Yamaha. And the gap between the two brothers was a minute come the end of play. Karam getting the cheese, and that's going to help him with his confidence as he goes forward into the rest of the championship chase. The Karam boys firing on all cylinders out here at round number 5. Sidi Hussein, the first of the riders to get the big high 5 on the show in the OR2 Pro category. 8th place for him. He has seen inside of the top 6 a couple of times this season, but as we always talk about the second half of the season, you see new blood coming in and the championship start to form nicely. Marcel Swart down in a number 7, and then Gav Young was part of a 3-way split the whole way through the day. The 2-stroke smokers were out there banging hard. Gav Young, Xander King, and Stoff Berger all over each other throughout the day's racing, all saying that the smokers worked super good on this turn track technical terrain where you could really swing off the back, and the lighter handling characteristics of the bikes helping the riders out. Young eventually walking away on the Bikers Warehouse 250 smoker into a number 6. Xander King on the Yami 250 getting the job done on a number 5, and Stoff Berger, the best of the smokers, getting it done inside of a number 4, and he got the big high 5 as the fastest of the Blue Smokes. Up the road though, inside the top 3 were all on the 4-stroke machines. Seth Lilford, great out the gate, almost got the whole shot when Johnny B stalled out, but Johnny B recovered nicely. Seth Lilford eventually settling into his race pace, walking away with number 3 spot. The Lilfords so good on all of our mixed terrain that we race on the GXCCs. Solidifying his 2nd place on the day and his 2nd place in the overalls. Carl DeToy on an absolute burner, riding out of VW MasterCars Hatfield, racing almost everything on every weekend, sharpening his blade. 2nd place this time around, and not too far off the back wheel of eventual category winner Johnny B. John Burter on the Bikers Warehouse Factory Husky climbed the ladder nicely, had a good overall on the day, and yet again another win extending off the front in his championship challenge. In the OR1 Big Bangers, Ash Engelbrecht makes it onto the show once again, breaking his way inside of a top 8. Respectable race times, but unfortunately only 2 laps under his belt, so he definitely had some problems on the day. Devon Wolfart, another of the Wolfart clan, walking away with a number 7 ride. The Wolfarts gelling perfectly with the tracks that we are laying out here at the GXCCs. The Rooster, Rudy Vieira, gets the Big 5 Honey rocking and rolling. His best GXCC finish of the season inside of a top 6. He'll be super happy with that. That should move him up into the top 6 in the overalls as well. Ruben Peters was a big surprise package on the day, riding out of the Bikers Warehouse Husky squad on a full enduro spec'd and prepped 300 machine, but able to swing off the back. Went a little bit Ronnie Mack on us, losing the front fender early on, but 5th place was a huge story and the best of the smokers. Cosmos Mamalukas, 4th place for him, one of his best GXCC rides, normally dicing it out for a 5 and a 6, but he found the cheese this time around. Happy with that. Brendan Kotzer, after taking his best ever and first ever whole shot on the GXCC Tour, also walks away with his best ever finish at a GXCC, showing how much that whole shot helps you out. Brendan Kotzer for the VW MasterCars Hatfield squad walks away with a 3rd place. He was warring out there the whole day with Cosmos Mamalukas, eventually got rid of Cosmos and got out there and ran numbers. Just could not stay on the back wheel of Vilkin and Haygate as they ran the big pace on the day. But congrats to Kotzer for getting the big job done. 3rd place, his highest running number on the day. Sean Vilkin would have been happy with the race being shorted as he lost and collapsed his rear moose on the final lap. But with the scorecard going back to the end of lap number 3, he was credited with a number 2 finish. Scotty Haygate, no issues, no problems at all on the day. Didn't get the whole shot, which is a rare thing for Scotty H, but he ran the big pace, ran the numbers, ran off front, and walks away as your champion of round number 5. And with that, will be championship points leader.
Hey Scotty, tell me about the day.
Yeah, what a cool venue that the GXCC organizers have put together today for round 5. And yeah, really fun out there. But most of all, hung off the back, and yeah, I think we lived up to Mikey's expectations. So I'd like to just dedicate this win to Mikey. And yeah, I hope we did you proud today.
Brother, first ever GXCC whole shots and probably one of your best rides. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, that was scary. Riding with Scott Haygate for the first 2Ks before he left us, it was scary. So well done to him. This one is definitely for Mike. This is an emotional race for me. I think everyone here is emotional. It was a tough one. But yeah, I'm sure he's watching us up there and laughing at me with my first ever whole shot. So yeah, and I'd just like to thank my team, my mom and my dad, my son, my fiance, everyone that's here to support me. My mom, Chris Adams, MasterCars VW. Without these guys, this is not possible.
Hey Johnny, I sold you'd be running high in the overalls today, hey?
Yeah, I would have liked to do better, but yeah, this tight and twisty stuff, it works on you.
It's going to be busy, but how's those 250s come through quite quick as well?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. They were behind me the whole time, so yeah, had to press the whole time, but it was fun. Yeah, it was an awesome day. Thank you to Bikers Warehouse and all our sponsors, CycleWorks, Talkcraft, and yeah, thank you to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for keeping us safe. And yeah, another successful GXCC.
Peter, that was an interesting way to wrap up the day, but your pace was insane, eh?
Yes, I felt so good on the bike. Track was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, unfortunately the fire came to cut it short now, but yeah, lucky everyone's back safe, and yeah, another good day with the boys.
Surprised yourself as well, because I thought you liked the super fast tracks, but this was a flow track.
Actually, I like this more, but people tend to think I like fast stuff. But yeah, thank you to everyone for a lack of dice, and thank you to the Lord for keeping us safe, and yeah, to everyone that makes this possible. It's awesome.
Cam, been a while since I saw you run that kind of pace, bud.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Young guys are keeping me on my toes. Make me had to work after hours even harder. Yeah, I'm just stoked to be back on the podium with an awesome team. I can't thank Uncle Ian Pepper, Peps and Plastics, and Motel for the support. And yeah, they believed in me beginning of the year, so this victory is for them. And most certainly I was stuffed at the end, and yeah, this one was for Mike.
Boys worked hard for that one. Scotty H stands on the top step and runs the numbers on the big OR1 Pro Gate. Vilkin and Kutzer record their best results of the season, as well as Mama Lucas in the 4th spot. Peters, the big story of the day, and Rooster back on the top 6 with the big 5 honey. OR2 Pros, the Johnny B show, but Carl de Toy is not too far off his back wheel. Spare a thought for Seth Lilford as well. He's coming on strong in the second half of the season. Berger, the first of the smokers, beating out on King and Young. Marcel Swartz and Goosen take us out to the top 8. OR3 Pro category, the Karen brothers putting on the big show with Peter on the top step ahead of Derek. Becker is best rider of the season, but watch out because Peltzer and Young, dropping down to their lowest finish of the season, are going to have to do the big fight back. So that was Leandra. That was round number 5 of the GXCCs. We now get ourselves ready for the final 3 events of the tour to wrap up the championship and name all of our big number 1 plates at the end of the season. Next up on the scorecards, Dalmas, the classic race venue that always delivers fantastic racing. Stay with us as we click through the gearbox for 3 more rounds of the 2024 GXCC Championship. All this GXCC racing action is brought to you by VW MasterCars Hatfield. So that was GXCC's round number 5 of an 8-round championship, and things click into high gear now as next month we go straight into their next round, which is going to be out there in Delmas, so a venue that we know quite well. What's coming up this weekend? It's the penultimate round of the Farm Jams. This is the classic race venue of Sgt. Pepper's out in Balmoral, so just out the back door of Pretoria, not too far away for Joburg, and certainly pretty close for all the Mpumalanga Massive. So we know it's going to be a really exciting one and a well-marked track as well, because also you can see at the previous races, we used to race quite late in the year at Sgt. Pepper's and it was a little bit moist. This time they've dried it out, they've got us into a dry month, so we know we're going to have even better racing this time around. Then going forward into next month, we've got the final round, and that's going to be out at Sungiti. That's the final round of the FJs. And it is going to be going forward into round number 6 of GXCC, and that's going to be out in Delmas. So we're turbocharged at the moment. Me and the HollywoodHills boys and LiveX are swinging off the back. Stay with us for the journey as we close out on July and head flat taps into August.